What's up YouTube? Just wanted to bring you another video featuring this Griffin right here. We're going to show you how we wick it, take it down low, break it all down. It's the method that I use for my VCMT, my Griffin 25, 22 Griffin when I had one. If you use this method, you shouldn't get any dry hits, you shouldn't get any leaking or anything like that, as long as you close off the juice control, which we'll show you on this Griffin right here. So let's go ahead and take a look down low and see how that looks. Take our piece of cotton here and just tear it right in half. Then usually what I'll do, a lot of people do this a different way, but this is the way I've gotten used to doing it. So I just know for a 3 mil coil, I'm going to need about that much wick. Very scientific, about that much. And then usually what I'll do is I'll give her a little pat down. And I will actually roll it between my hands, no lie. Twist the ends up. Prepare for impending. It looks like a joint comment. It's not a joint, it's cotton. And then what I do is I just look for the pointiest part, because all I need to do is grab a little bit of it and pull it on through. And then what I like to do is I like to grab it on the back side here and roll it behind. So what that'll do is make your footprint a little smaller when you're sliding it in. And then usually what you'll do is you'll get to a spot, see right there it's a little tough to fit in, you'll get to a spot where it's loosey-goosey, like right there, super loosey-goosey. Take and unroll it, so it just fills that up a little bit, and then get right where we want tension-wise. That's perfect right there. So now we'll flip her around and do the other side. Everybody get your micrometer out for my scientific measurement. About that much. Same thing. There you go. Twist her up, slide her on in. And same thing. Just look for that right amount of tension. I'm okay with those coils moving just ever so slightly, just as long as it's not contorting or anything like that. That's perfect. So now we'll take our handy dandy scissors. Now everyone does this a different way, and I've seen a lot of videos doing this different ways, but I'm going to show you guys how I do it. I never get a single leak, I never worry about anything like that. I'll show you guys how I fill it and everything. We're just using just a tiny little bit. And the other thing too, guys, is remember that you don't have to leave a ton of room on here, because we can always slide this back in. Like say we cut that too short, oh look, now it's longer. So don't worry too much about cutting it too short or anything like that. You will want to get it a good length before you go over here though. And that's what we're looking at. All we're trying to make it to is right here. That's it. We're just trying to make it to that ring, not too much lower. So trim up this side. And we'll come back over here. Another thing I do too is I'll trim one side, and if it looks nice, I'll just fluff these back out and just marry it. So now we're looking at our cotton. Then what I'll usually do is I'll fluff it back towards me to make sure that I don't have too much cotton, and make sure that they're not touching each other. So that's a little bit thick right there. If it's a little bit thick, what I'll usually do is I'll just trim a little bit off the front. Just trim a little bit off the front. And then this side, that's actually a little bit thinner, so we'll leave that one. And this one's pretty puffy, so we'll take a little bit off of that one. Okay, now we're going to take our juice here, some dewy boba, the color of Hennessy, doesn't get much finer. And we're just going to wet it. Drip shot, drip shot, drip shot. And you don't have to do it this way, but that's how players do. Just drip it over the top and then stare at it for a minute because it looks cool. Make another pass over. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to stuff it down into this channel. Something pointy really helps. You could use a toothpick too if you're ghetto. I'm turning away from the camera, folks, but I just got to see what's going on the front side here, and then I'll be able to show you. Yeah, all I'm doing is just poking this down in here. Make sure that you're not too fluffed out, because if you are, it'll give you troubles. And then what I actually do is I'll take my pick once I got it in there, and I'll come in right behind the post right here. So the other thing that I'll do is I'll just make sure that I'm right here, and I actually go back in and poke a little gap in behind. It's important that you poke this gap out, because what it does is it lets air flow through and it lets the tank burp, for lack of a better term. So if you look at it from the front here, if your juice comes up into this channel, there's no way for it to get into this hole right here, which is how it's going to wick. What's going to happen is we're allowing it to come up right here, so it's going to follow the path of least resistance right here. But if it does bubble up over, it's not going down into this hole right here. It's just meeting the wick. So that's part of the reason why this will never leak, except on fills. And I'll show you when you fill, all you got to do is close the juice control. But that's how you do this one right here. You're just going to poke a gap in every side. So I'm going to do the rest of them here. We'll probably speed this up a little bit, and then I'll show you guys all the sides once we're done shaping it. The only other thing that I'll do is then I'll go back in here and just make sure that it's not laying all over the holes. I just don't like it laying all over the holes like that, because these wicks are going to be wet most of the time that you do it, and a little bit extra could drip down in there. I think that gives you a little extra dribble. So I'll usually just come back in and make sure that these air holes are clear. The thing too is that actually the wicks right here, when you wet them up, it's part of the reason I like to wet them up really well, is because they will swell when you wet them. So like if this gap closes up here, it will not be able to burp so well. So that's one thing I will do, is I'll get it nice and juicy right here, and that way I don't have to see how this one came back. We had a gap here before, we don't have a gap anymore. So we're just gonna make sure that we're square. It's hip to be square, Huey Lewis would say. Ba, 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 na, na, na. Ba, 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 na, na, na. So now we're going to put our tank back together here. Ah, whoop! Home's holding steady. All right. Now let's have a vape. And here we are back in normal view. Let's go ahead and take a vape and see how she's doing. That's pretty damn good. Just keep in mind, guys, that you do want to close off your juice control when you're filling it up. You'll see on the Griffin here that that's gonna be your holes closed up there. You'll see only metal. If you do that right before you fill it up, fill it all the way up, screw your top back on so you don't increase the pressure in there. Open her back up and have a delicious vape. If this video helped you out at all, just make sure to hit the like button. Go ahead and pound that subscribe button. If there's anything else that you want to see, leave it in the comments. If you have constructive criticism, leave it in the comments. I do sound like Dane Cook, so you can stop saying that. If you have anything negative to say, we don't care, so don't leave that either. Make sure to keep checking us out, because we're going to be bringing you guys some new stuff. I think we'll bring Paul back for a video or two. I think that we're going to introduce you to Emily and see what she's got going on. Make sure that you pay attention to the channel, because it should be coming out really soon, guys. We're going to be filming a bunch of content and make sure that we have stuff rolling out to you guys on a regular basis. That's it for us today. We'll catch you next time. Bye, YouTube.